Good afternoon. Firstly, I want to say thanks for having a chance to present my research. Hope that I can receive comments to improve my research in the future. And now I present the research with the topic Trade Policies Response to COVID-19 and Lessons for Vietnam. And this is the structure of my research. As an intro part, I will focus on the necessity of this research. There's no need to say more about the negative impact of COVID-19 to people's lives and especially the world economy. Until now, there have been more than 3 million people die because of this pandemic. And stay at home is the most useful policy to prevent this virus. As you can see, numerous countries still restrict their people to go out or use public vehicle. According to the Financial Times, these kinds of policy are the main reasons leading to the global recession, and it's expected to be at least as bad as 2007 and 2008 global financial crisis. In terms of international service trade, there's no doubt that the main victims is the international tourism, passenger air travel, and container shipping. And this pandemic has led to the decrease in the global direct foreign investment to 15% in 2020. However, the main concern is the merchandise trade, as you can see as a slide. In terms of the merchandise trade, the volume of trade has fallen 5.3% in 2020, and you can see as this blue line. The impact of the pandemic on merchandise trade volume differ across regions in 2020, with most regions recording large declines in both exports and imports. Moreover, the huge waves of pandemic, there has been a rising demand for personal protective equipment, the PPE, and stay-at-home policy has led to the shortage of food. Therefore, government started to impose restrictions in exporting their essential products. And according to the ITC, that 98 countries have been restricting their export due to the fear of shortage products. And the export control has been introduced seem to be contrary to the WTO principles and the recommendation of World Bank. Therefore, this paper will mean the consistency between the trade policies responding to COVID-19 pandemic and the WTO law in order to suggest trade policies to Vietnam. In this paper, I will focus on the trade of goods. Therefore, I rely on the GATT 1994 of the WTO to find available source to justify the consistency of the trade policy and WTO law. According to the ITC, in the COVID-19 context, countries tend to restrict export and apply trade liable relation toward importing these kinds of products. Fiscal government wants to secure the domestic supply while one continue importing from foreign. However, this policy seemed contrary to the GATT 1994. However, WTO allows to apply trade policies being contrary to GATT presented in the article XX. That's the content of the article XX. And at the paragraph B of the article XX, the country can apply a measure being contrary to the WTO law if it's necessary to protect human, animal, or plant life or health. So we need to justify the necessary word of a measure. And finally, the judgment will belong to the appellate body of the WTO. The data of this paper will be collected from this website, the markmap.org, which allows us to track the trade measures in the COVID-19. Based on the category of World Bank, country will be classified in 4 categories: the high income, the upper middle high income, the upper middle income, lower middle income, and low income countries. And this is my finding. I count the trade measures in the COVID-19 context and presented in this table. And this table will present the trade restriction in the COVID-19 context. The tendencies of trade measures in the COVID context is to restrict export of the medical and food while foster the import. And I figure out that the main restriction export measures are to prevent exporting medical products and food based on the shortage of PPE and food. This measure can be considered as justifiable because they are necessary for the human life. However, I found some cases that it can be considered as maybe not justifiable. For example, Cambodia. As you can see, the export prohibition on masks and test kits can be considered as justifiable because it is necessary. However, the export prohibition on fish is not necessary according to the KDQT 1994 law. That's why it can be considered as unjustifiable. And after 1 month, this measure is terminated. In terms of Vietnam, I count 3 measures have been applied in the COVID-19 context. One, import ban, and the second is export ban on medical products, and the third is export quota on rice. The question is import ban, it means that the first one is justifiable. This measure can be explained by the reasonable SPS measure. This means that sanitary and phytosanitary measures, it allows countries to restrict import to protect health of humans despite of lack of scientific evidence. Indeed, although scientists confirm that the coronavirus comes from bats, according to Hayi 2020, there is a lack of evidence to confirm this virus can be infected through other wild animals. However, in order to protect health of the Vietnamese government bans importing the whole animals after some cases of virus are able to live in the wild animal meat. So it can be concluded that these measures is justifiable. And this being contrary with other countries, Vietnam government considers this pandemic as an opportunity to facilitate exporting. For example, according to the government resolution 20 and QCP date February 28, 2020, medical masks can be exported if only international aid or assistance is permitted by the government of Vietnam. And with the EVFTA and CPTPP, the Vietnamese government hope that they can foster the export activities to the European market in this COVID-19 context. And this is the conclusion of my research. As you can see, most of trade policies in the COVID-19 context can be considered as justifiable under the Article XX of the KDQT 1994. And countries tend to restrict exporting while facilitate importing the essential products such as PPE and food. However, in terms of Vietnam, the COVID-19 pandemic created opportunity for exporting activities in Vietnam, especially in exporting agricultural foods and masks. Therefore, the Vietnamese government needs to foster these activities. This is the end of my presentation, and I hope that I can receive comment to improve my research in the future. Thank you.